Division I women's basketball first round game. As a courtesy to everyone, please silence your cell phones. Please provide your name and media affiliation each time you ask a question during today's press conference. If you are joining us on Zoom, please use the raise hand function for questions. We'll address questions in the room first and then get to Zoom if time allows. Recording press conferences on cell phones or cameras is prohibited. We have with us on stage head coach Courtney Bankart, as well as student athletes Lainey Grant and Nyla Harris. As a reminder, we will begin with an opening statement from Coach, followed by questions for the student athletes. We will then dismiss the student athletes and conclude with questions for Coach. Coach, congratulations on the win, and whenever you're ready, we'll take an opening statement.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for being here. What a great environment. We felt like these guys really earned the opportunity to bring basketball back to Chapel Hill, and Chapel Hill showed up with a loud crowd and a lot of energy. There were some cobwebs, as you all saw, and that it's amazing how rhythmic these athletes are, right? They hadn't had a game against another team for 2 weeks, and you could tell that. We were a little short on our shots. We were a little slow on our even just kind of throwing and catching. But it's hard to win a basketball game. I'm on record saying that, and to win one in March is even harder. So grateful that these guys have the spirit that they have, and certainly thrilled to be sitting here as the winning coach.
We'll take questions for the student athletes. Please raise your hand and we'll get a microphone to you.
Alexandra Jones, the Daily Tar Heel for Lainey. What was working for you there in that first half? It was you and Nyla Brooks were really keeping sort of the offense in it. So what was working for you guys, and what was kind of your mindset going into that?
Yeah, we knew that they were going to collapse pretty hard on the guards' drive, so I think E and India did a great job of just kind of finding the shooters, playing off two. Me and Brooks were just told to get to the windows and shoot it when we were open. So
we'd like you to make them too.
Tom Shanahan, News and Observer. Lainey, 4 of 19 on three-pointers in the first half, and then you and Elena came out and hit some quick ones in the third quarter. How much of a difference did that make?
it always makes a difference when you're making shots, when you're hitting shots, but, all the coaches, all my teammates just continue to implore me to shoot the ball when I'm open, don't turn down open shots. So they built a lot of confidence in me, and I kind of pull from that. If I miss 2 in a row, there's nobody on the team telling me to turn down the next one. Everyone says keep shooting, but everyone on our team is capable of shooting the three, which is really special. So when everyone's hitting, then it really spaces out the defense, and it kind of allowed. You saw E got downhill a lot in the second half. In the fourth quarter, got to the rim a little bit more. So, helps when you're hitting shots.
Hey, Ariel Bottom, Tar Heel Tribune. Can you talk about the defensive effort? This team came in shooting 35% from three-point range, and they were 2 of 15. Lainey, can you speak to that, and Nyla as well?
Yeah, for sure. We knew that we were going to play a really strong Western Illinois team. There's not a team left in this tournament that isn't capable of making a run, so we were very prepared for their key scorers. We were really tuned in to number 22. She's averaging close to 25 points a game, so that was the main emphasis for us. But I think once we stopped kind of bailing them out on some jump shots and some fadeaways, we were able to play a little more straight up. But I think India really brought it for us. She picked up the energy in the second half. She was all over the place. She always is. So that's just a testament to her leadership. But we all kind of feed off of her.
Tana Esparza, USA Today. Nyla, first home tournament win. Can you kind of talk to that? And Lainey, coach said that you said you really wanted a home game so Nyla can have one in the NCAA tournament. Can both y'all kind of just attest to the home environment tonight, and Nyla, what it was like to finally get a home tournament win?
Yeah, no, it was super electric. It was exciting to run out and just hear all the Carolina fans. And it was just, I don't know, it was just like a really soaking in moment of like, wow, we're actually here. We're actually playing. We've been like waiting for this moment for like 2 weeks. And just hearing Lainey say that just means so much to me. But it was just fun to play in Carmichael again. It always is. And to get the win again and be able to play again on Sunday is just fun.
Yeah, I guess I'll just say, March is special. This tournament is so special, but to be able to do it home with your fans behind you, I think that just adds everything. Like she said, hearing the support and hearing the love, and, you want to do it for the community, but like I said, we want India and Harris to have, 2 more games, and, we won this one, so they get 1 more game at Carmichael. Not just senior night. So that was one of our goals, going into this season was, hey, we want to make deep runs in the playoffs and we want to be able to host. So to be able to do that and look around and know that we're doing it for 2 really special seniors that have brought a lot to this program, it means a lot. So
Nyla, Tom Shanahan, News and Observer. Like I asked Laney's offense was struggling in the first half. Your mindset that last minute, you scored on an inside basket, and then you got the offensive rebound you put back in the last minute. What was your mindset that last minute to kind of spark the team?
I think Western Illinois was really packing it inside, making it hard for the offensive rebounds to make a basket. I think it was just like important for me to get that because I kind of was a little bit in my head in the beginning, just struggling a little bit. And then I think, getting that buzzer going into this second quarter was just good for our team as well to just keep the momentum flowing. But yeah.
Alexandra Jones, the Daily Tar Heel. Nyla, Laney mentioned India really leading the team, but also, you as a senior, how have y'all been able to kind of step into sort of a leadership role, especially, playing here home at Carmichael and, as he mentioned, have that big second half?
No, yeah, coming here my first year and having a huge leadership role on a team that I'm new at, but having India help me with that was just huge. Me and Indy have struggling to speak. Me and Indy have grown a special bond, and being able to lead this team to hosting an NCAA tournament is huge. I think that, again, our leadership plays a huge role in this team and how we do, and I think that in that second half, me and Indy leaned into each other saying as leaders, we don't want to go home. We want to bring the passion, the joy, whatever it takes to get this win, and I think that's what we did very well.
Any other questions for student athlete? One over here in the middle.
Tatum Esparza, USA Today. Y'all are a really young team. Laney, you and Nyla had great games. Can you kind of talk to the experience and the mentality of the younger classmen to really help propel this team forward and make sure you guys have all 5 players on the court?
Yeah, we are a very young team, but I think that it kind of speaks to our leadership. Like, I learned a lot last year coming into a team that was a lot of fifth year senior heavy, so I learned a lot about how to lead differently through them. But I also think that, especially Harris and India do such a great job of just imploring and pouring confidence into the younger kids, myself included. Like, whenever they see me struggling, they're the first ones to pick me up, and it's just down the line. So like I said, they pour into other people, and that's one of the reasons why this team is so good. Like, they're not just good personally, but they pull people along. And the best teams are player-led, and they've done a really good job about stepping into their roles, and they also do a great job of leaving the floor open for everybody on the team to have a voice and everybody to lead in their own authentic way, which is really special. So.
Anything else for the student athletes? All right, thanks so much, student athletes, and congratulations on the win. All right, we'll now take questions for Coach. We'll start with our Hill in the front.
Could you speak to the defensive effort that you had against Western and what your strategy was in stopping their Conference Player of the Year?
Yeah, if you take away the free throws, we held her to 12 points. We take great pride in taking away the other team's strengths. I think we've done that so many times this year. And so, I think we'll have to watch back how many of those free throws were things we could have controlled or things that were there's just a physicality that we play with in the ACC that's different maybe. But, I thought we were really disciplined in the third quarter. We were a little bit jumpy in the first quarter, but we wanted to guard the arc with ball pressure, but we also wanted to make their best player have to work a lot harder. And when, she had to take 15 shots and turn the ball over 6 times, I thought we did a really good job on her. So, defense, rebounding, and ball control wins you a lot of games, right? And 3-point shooting in our case. So we've got the defense is something we can control, and I thought we've continued to really lock into that.
Josh Marktich, the Daily Tar Heel. Coach, can you just kind of talk about the perimeter defense and the perimeter offense? You kept Western Illinois to 0% in the 3 going into the fourth quarter. And then can you also talk about going 25% from the 3 on the offensive side?
Yeah, sorry about that, everybody. We sort of killed it at the arc today, didn't we? I can talk about both. I think I give a lot of credit to the ACC. I mean, we've played, 9 teams are in the tournament? I mean, we've played against really good guards night after night after night. And so, iron sharpens iron. So we feel like we've gotten better throughout the year because of our non-conference schedule and then the ACC schedule. And so you're not asking us to recreate a scheme, right? You're asking just to continue our progression of guarding our own and no islands and the way that we want to defend. So I think we were pretty disciplined. Again, I've got to look at those free throws. That's too many free throws to give up in March. But I've got to, again, look at how much of that was controllable and how much was the way the game was called. I don't know. And then, I mean, I would hope we don't shoot 25% from three again. That would be below our average. I think when we look back at those shots, I think we'll like a lot of them, and so, I thought we kept, it shows a lot of trust that they just kept in it, right? They kept taking the shots that we were, good shots that we were getting. They were really compact in the paint. I would also be worried about our inside game, so they were sort of hedging their bets on our perimeter game, and we were a little bit in our cobwebs there. So I just wanted them to keep shooting, work it out. And so, sorry that we gave you guys 25%, but we gave you 10 makes, and I know this group loves double-digit makes.
Alexandra Jones, the Daily Tar Heel. Courtney, you mentioned a little bit of those cobwebs there, that first half offense, but Lainey and Nyla Brooks really kind of kept them in. Could you kind of speak to their kind of participation and their role kind of in that first half to kind of vault y'all to that big second half lead?
Yeah, I mean, I thought, Nyla Brooks she's just gotten so much better throughout the year. I mean, I keep hearing that. I'll be out on Franklin Street or I'll be out to dinner and someone will say, oh, I just love Nyla Brooks. She's gotten so much better. People love how she's defending. She's able to create basketball plays for other people now, and she's such a joy. I love the kid. I know you guys do too, and so I feel like I'm competing with you all for her to be number one in her heart, but she certainly loves Carmichael. But yeah, she's important to us. I love that she kept shooting because she took good shots. And then Lainey's just a rock. That kid she's the youngest kid on our team. We got the 7th youngest team in Power 4, and she's the youngest still on our team. She's an absolute rock. I thought how she came out in the third quarter, I didn't like our rebounding effort. When you watch that back, there'll be the first 3 possessions. She had a legitimate body-on-body. So she's just a kid I have great trust for. She's a two-way player, and all she cares about is winning. And when one of your best players only cares about winning, things kind of fall into line. So yeah, those two were huge tonight. I love that everyone played. So everyone got their hands on the ball and their feet on the court in March. It feels like it gives us even more options going into Sunday.
Tom Shanahan, News and Observer. Sierra and Blanca are both bigger girls, but they managed to really stay between Castro and the basket all consistently. I don't know how important that was. If you thought going into the game you might have to switch a quicker player under, how important was that to the game?
Yeah, we did a little bit of both. So when we were big, we wanted to stay enforce tough ones. And again, I think some of those fouls happened in that, and then we were able to go small and switch around and just keep bodies in front of the ball. I love that our guys give me a lot of options. But yeah, I mean, Blanca and Sierra are imposing physically. I mean, they're 6'5", 6'6", and they're strong, and they've just got a lot of things in the paint that are hard to work around. So we wanted to kind of give that look, and then we also did a lot of switching and played a little bit smaller. And so our goal is to just wear on you in lots of different ways. And I think over the course of a game, again, if you take out their free throws, which I know is not really fair, but if you do, we give up 36 points in March. It's pretty good.
Hey, Courtney. Mitch Northam, USA Today. I don't want to ask you about X's and O's with Maryland because I know you have a scout to do and stuff, but it's a big-time matchup.
Yeah.
A lot of history between these two programs. What do you think the environment will be like on Sunday? And just not as a coach, but as a basketball fan, how excited are you just to be a part of that matchup?
Yeah, so cool. I remember, we played them my 30-0 year. So that year was the year I was actually the Naismith and had all those cool accolades happen. And, they're the team they were the only loss that season. What Brenda's done, consistency in this business is really hard, right? And being at one place, because to be good, you got to fight for your program. So you actually wear people out, right? And the fact that she's been able to be so loved at Maryland and win so many games consistently is remarkable, and she's one of those in the business that truly does root for other people. Right, so she's also one of the better people in our business. So that's really fun. But yeah, I know that, I remember being at the Final Four when I was a young coach. I was out way too late, so I barely stayed awake for the game. But watching her win a national championship, and being a fan of the ACC, how fun this game is for this community. And I know I'm in charge of it now, but there's a lot of people who played before me and coached before me that remember this rivalry, in the same way. So it should be a great environment. I think a Sunday, I know we don't know I don't know the game time yet, but I think there'll be even more that we're here today. I hope the students are back from spring break. But yeah, that's what March is about, is these matchups like this that can't always happen. And then when they do, you just want to buckle up and watch.
Hi, Coach.
Hey, I can hear you.
Your two seniors on the team both got a home win. Nyla, her first in the NCAA tournament, and India, with all of her family being here, a local kid. Can you kind of speak to what that means for you in the program to be able to get that for them?
Yeah, it's such a unique thing in the women's game that you can do that, right? It basically rewards the fan bases and the schools that have invested in your sport, right, to let you play at home, right? Because if you're good enough, you have that opportunity. And to be good enough, you probably have to be well supported, both from an administrative level and from a fan base level. And so we feel like it's a gift that we give back to the community now, 2 years in a row. I think these kids are so in it. They don't necessarily have the wide lens that us elders do. And so I don't know if it's totally hit India that what she's been able to do, what she'll remember is that in her senior year, she hosted in Carmichael. Like, I don't think that's where she's at, but we'll make sure that she recognizes that you're sort of judged in how you do when you're in charge, right? And she's in charge of this team. And, what she's been able to do to get it back home when, remember, a lot of her running mates, when we include Renaya being out, and then all the kids that graduated last year, she was the one that's been left, right? And the way she's been able to galvanize the young guys and give them confidence and be consistent with what we need is remarkable. She just doesn't have the perspective yet, I don't think, to totally get it. But yeah, I remember when I left Princeton, it was hard. It's where I met my family. It's where I had my kids. We were rolling. It's a place that loved me. It was really hard to leave. And you hope when you take over a new job, it's going to be what you want. And the one thing I felt at Princeton is I'd never get a chance to host, right? And so I wanted it to be really cool if I really wanted to do that. And so to be able to do it 2 years in a row means more to me than I can articulate, because I had won tournament games at Princeton, right? It wasn't about that. It was about, what can I do different? Can I host an NCAA tournament game? Can I get to a Sweet 16 and an Elite 8 and a Final Four? And, and to do it the last 2 years, it's really hard to do. So I'm really proud of the kids I've been coaching and the kids that have trusted me in this process.
Hey, Courtney. Brian Murphy with WRL. As your players were speaking, I saw you taking a lot of notes. I wonder what those notes are, what you do with them once you're done with this.
I've watched a lot of Maryland, so I was just writing some Maryland notes down that, I've got the team here. I'm going to show them film here after they eat. I've got that scout ready, and I was just remembering some of the things that are going to be consistent with what happened today that I'm going to carry over. So I'm a little bit boring because, as I told the team just now, I said I don't have a lot to say. I'll have a lot to prepare you for. But yeah, usually when I'm writing, it's about basketball.
Tana Esparza, USA Today. Yesterday, Coach, you said this is the hardest you've been on a team ever.
Yeah.
And especially with such a young team, can you kind of speak to the resiliency and discipline of those players, especially with Nyla Brooks and Lainey Grant, to come out strong for you guys in the first half?
Yeah, and that they let me be really hard on them, and they didn't shrink. I think I looked at India and Nyla Harris, and I told them, I'm going to give you my very best, but I'm going to make sure I'm going to find a way to get the best out of your young guys because you don't have the time. This group is going to be really good over time, but you need them to be good now. And so every time I was hard on them, they just pointed inward, both of them. Like, there was no, well, maybe they did it behind my back, but it wasn't like, oh, I don't like Coach. It was like, we have to be better, guys. She's showing us, she's telling us, and then the younger guys, they're just eager. Like, Lainey's a rock, and Nyla Brooks wants to be a star. You can go right on down the line. So there's a lot of trust in our operation, me, them, me. And our coaching staff. And so when you love somebody, they know it. And if they know it, then they'll take whatever message you have in whatever way you share it, right? And you have to earn that, but we've earned it because they've earned it. Like, they've earned the time that we put into them, and they've earned the results. So this team needed me to be hard on them. It's exhausting. It's not really in my personality, but this team needed to be hard on them, and it worked.
Just curious, do you change the game day routine from the normal home game during the regular season?
Yeah, so we actually stayed in a hotel, quite honestly, because it's just easier for their nutrition, right? And then also, the film, I'd have to have them all come back to Carmichael tonight to watch more film, and they're all there. It's just like you're kind of herding cats. They're just like easier to pull together. It's not because they're distracting on campus. That's just not, these guys are wired in. I mean, I'm not worried about any of that. It's more just, it's honestly just easier to make sure they stay on what we're trying to do, and then you show them film, and then they're not worried about parking before they get to practice. Like, we're just all on the bus. So that is a little bit different. We did that last year and it worked, so we did it again this year. But otherwise, from a prep standpoint, whatever practice time I'm given tomorrow, I usually get to pick it, so I don't get to pick it. That's annoying. But whatever practice time I'm given, that'll be the same. It'll be the same structure in terms of your head has to understand before your body does, right? And then once your head understands, if you don't do it, it wasn't important enough to you, right? It's really basic. And so my job is to make sure they have very clear understanding of how we need to play to win. And if they do it, it mattered enough to them. If they don't, then it just didn't matter enough. And I can't worry about that, right? And so, yeah, the preparation will be tonight. It'll be tomorrow, and then the game plan will be solid.
Anything else for Coach? All right, Coach.
She's got one.
One more on the
Yeah,
front
we
row
always
here.
want the students, man. We need good reporters. Come on, keep going.
Thanks. Courtney, you talked about it a little bit, but I know Lainey mentioned having a lot of 5th and 6th years last year. She kind of learned from them. How have you kind of seen her sort of learn, but also how have you seen sort of India and Nyla Harris kind of teach the younger guys in terms of leadership? How have you seen those guys grow in terms of leadership?
I think the biggest thing is that I really believe that authenticity is our own superpower, right? And so I'm not going to coach any other way than that's authentic to me, right? And so if you look at how Maria or Alyssa or Lexia Darnowski led our team, it's very different than how Nyla Harris and India lead our team, but it's authentic to who they were. You can get behind that, right? You can trust the consistency of that. And so India's journey has been really authentic right in front of our very eyes. And so how she's gone through confidence and imperfection and desire and all the things, it's easy to get behind. So, it's remarkable what Lainey's done, you guys. She gave up her senior year of high school, right? I don't know if you guys know, I was at her high school game for for her high school state championship, and I was coaching. We had just lost in the ACC tournament. We had missed like 1,012 free throws, and she went like 14 for 15 from the free throw line. So she had 39 points. I texted her mom, and I was like, God, she'd help us. I was going to text her dad, but he was coaching, and I texted her mom, and I said, God, she'd help me right now. And they said, well, 48 hours later, they were like, what do you think? I was like, well, if you're in, I'm in, right? So giving up your senior year of high school is a big deal, right? And then so she's 19 years old, right? Like, it's really remarkable what she's done and how she's contributing. And she absorbs everything around her. So she absorbs the part of Lexi and Alyssa and Maria and India and Nyla Harris that she wants to be. But I keep reminding her, your authenticity is your superpower too. So I think she's been able to absorb, but not lose who she is.
Coach, that's all the time we have today. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll be joined by Western Illinois momentarily. We're now ready to begin the Western Illinois press conference following today's NCAA Division I women's basketball first-round game. As a courtesy to everyone, please silence your cell phones. Please provide your name and media affiliation each time you ask a question during the press conference. And if you are joining us on Zoom, please use the raise hand function for questions, and we will address questions in the room first and then get to Zoom if time allows. Recording press conferences on cell phones or cameras is prohibited. We have with us here on the stage head coach J.D. Gravina, as well as student athletes Mia Nicastro, Addie Brownfield, and Allie Meadows. As a reminder, we will begin with an opening statement from Coach, followed by questions for the student athletes. We will then dismiss the student athletes and conclude with questions for Coach. Coach, if you want to start us off with an opening statement.
Yeah, thank you. Seeing a lot of purple in the media room here, and it's great to see. Really appreciate all the coverage. It's a special, really about 3 weeks for this team, and it all kind of builds up to the game. But that 3 weeks, I think, will be some of the best memories I've ever had in my career, especially with this team and this group. And so, just having the band at the hotel, the cheerleaders at the hotel, seeing us out, all the parents there. It's just such a cool experience, and so many people back home watching. There were so many watch parties in Macomb and really around the country. And I told the team in the locker room, our community and our university, they really needed this, and it just really uplifted us as a group, and so that makes me really proud. Tonight's game, I think kind of went like you hope it doesn't, but you're prepared for. Their athleticism just was too much for us defensively. We tried to kind of swarm them around the basket. We did force them to take 43s, and they only made 10 of those, so I thought that was a small victory, but they were just too good around the basket, and again, too good defensively. So I thought we played hard the whole game. It was nice to get everyone in the game and get them that experience, and shed a few tears when these seniors came out because they've just been such a special group. But I know they'll be in my life and my family's life forever, so that's a good feeling.
We'll now take questions for the student athletes. If you have a question, please raise your hand.
Martin Heinzelman with the 9. Just you guys, you talked about the purple, the big group of supporters that you guys had out here today. What did it mean to see them there supporting you and to have this experience playing in March Madness in Chapel Hill?
Addie, if you want to start us off with that.
I mean, their support just means everything to us. I mean, they're standing up the entire game. My grandma's out there standing up the entire game. They're so supportive, and we're going up against North Carolina schools that is a lot bigger than us, their home court advantage, but just knowing that our crowd is over there cheering us on, they have our backs with every call. It was almost like a safety, knowing that our crowd is there for us and they have our backs through it all. So just shout out to them. They're the absolute best, and they made this experience even more special.
Bob Sutton with the AP. Mia, I'm sure you work hard for your points all the time, but did you have to work even harder today? Was it just harder to come by the offense in general?
I mean, props to North Carolina. They're a great defensive team. Obviously, I was a bit undersized at the 5 position. I'm not, a 5 in the Power 4 conferences. But, so yeah, I think I did have to work a little bit harder than maybe I normally do, just because of their athleticism and their size. But, I just tried to be as efficient as possible, try to take good shots, and just try to do, what my team needed me to do offensively.
Josh Marktich with the Daily Tar Heel. Your coach just kind of talked about your defensive performance tonight around the arc. Can you guys each just kind of speak to that? You did keep them to 25%, which was about 10% lower than their season average. Can you guys just each kind of talk to that?
Allie, if you want to start us off there.
Yeah, they always say defense travels. Seeing here, we didn't shoot the 3 ball very well. But our job out there today, we knew we were going to be undersized. We knew we were the smaller team coming in, but we were going to frustrate them. And if that was ball pressure, if that was getting through the passing lanes, we had over 10 steals. That says a lot for a Power 4 school to, turn the ball over against us. I just think that really shows how good defenders we are, and I couldn't be more proud of this team for, getting on the floor, getting those loose balls, and putting our bodies on the line.
No, I say kind of along with what Allie said, I mean, we had 14 turnovers, which I'm impressed with, you know, against such a talented and athletic team. I thought we were really scrappy. I thought we fought hard, even though, you know, we were undersized at pretty much every position. And so, you know, when that's the case, you just, you know, you got to fight, and you got to be scrappy, and you got to, you know, get those 50-50 balls and fight for steals. And, you know, I thought we did that. You know, even though they ended up taking about 13 more shots than us, I think they weren't as efficient as they wanted to be. And I think a lot of that was largely due to just our pressure and kind of, you know, being everywhere and scrambling and recovering really well.
Yeah, I've just loved getting to play defense with this team this year. Everyone just gives it their all. You know, if you get beat off the dribble, someone's going to be there stepping up. You know, if you knock a ball loose, someone's going to be on the ground going for it. So that's just really fueled our success this season, I think. And I think we did a great job today defensively, unfortunately. Offensively, we couldn't quite get going. But, yeah, just so proud of the effort that each and every one of us puts in out there.
Anything else for the student athletes? Yep, one more second row there.
Caden Strenz, Leather Ink Insider. I know, JD, you just mentioned the last 3 weeks, the best 3 weeks in your career. And I would guess for you three, Addie, Mia, and Allie, what were those experiences like? Winning the tournament in Evansville, the bus ride back, the escort, the selection show, and now the opportunity to play here on this court.
Addie, we'll start with you, and then we'll go media, and then Allie.
Sorry, it gets a little emotional to think about, but I mean, it's just meant so much to me. Coming in as a freshman at times, you know, it kind of felt impossible to get to this point. Sorry. And, you know, we've built connections that are going to last a lifetime. I mean, these two up here are my literal best friends. JD and his family, I mean, they're my family. So just getting to experience this with all of them, and just seeing how proud our community is of us and how proud we are of each other, it's so special. And it's something I'm definitely going to remember the rest of my life.
Yeah, it's just hard. We keep saying it over and over, and it's just kind of hard to understand if you're not a part of it. But this is just such a special team. And I've never been a part of anything like this in my life. Kind of like Addie said, this is truly a family. I mean, these are the people and coaches that'll be, you know, bridesmaids at my wedding, and, you know, I'm sure JD will be there, hopefully behaving himself. But yeah, no, I mean, these are people that are going to be in my life forever, and you don't have that at every school. So I'm just really honored to have been able to wear, you know, Western Illinois across my chest for the past 2 years, and so then just being able to experience everything with this team and, you know, accomplishing all of our goals and doing what basically every mid-major team dreams of is just the most special and unique feeling, and there's really nothing that really can replicate, you know, that. So I'm just incredibly honored, incredibly proud of everyone on this team, and there's no one else that I would want to do any of this with.
We've talked a lot about the past 3 weeks, and those 3 weeks have been a dream since I was a little girl, and being able to do it with my best friends and, you know, the coach of my dreams and his family and all our community behind us has been truly just the number one goal I've had since I was little. And, you know, we've started this back this summer too. And I always say that this summer, JD said multiple times in practices that this was going to be a special team. And, you know, we just rode with that, and we kept it and listened to his word, and he led us here. And I couldn't be more grateful to do it with my friends and family and all the Macomb supporters that we have.
Any other questions for the student athletes? All right, thank you so much, ladies, and congratulations on a great season. I'm going to switch microphones with you and get you. Bob?
JD, how hard and difficult is it to overcome a tough shooting night that you had when you probably need to pull an upset? You obviously probably have to hit a pretty good rate.
Yeah, you probably a game like that. This has been the less our team has depended on three-pointers probably in my career here, and mostly that's due to Mia and Mallory Shetley being able to score around the basket and our guards that like to attack. But a game like this, you have to stretch the floor a little bit, and I think I said we needed to hit 10 or 11 threes to have a chance to win, and we hit 2. So it's fun talking about them going 10 for 40. We did mention we went 2 for 15. So, but a lot of that, I think it's probably more than just a bad shooting night. It's being rushed. It's shots being challenged. It's hard to get good open looks. Kick out, catch and shoot threes. So I think that's as much about their defense as anything else, unfortunately. And when you can't score or are struggling to score inside, and then that puts more pressure on those 3-pointers. So luckily we did get to the free throw line. Get the free throw line 20 times against a Power 4 team, I think is a good thing. That helped us at least, get a few respectable score. But yeah, not being able to knock down threes was definitely not going to give us a chance to win.
Caden Strenz, Leatherneck Insider, 10 for 40, already mentioned, from 3 for North Carolina tonight. This season, your defense has been really balanced, and it's been really good. I mean, what have you liked tonight out of the effort that was made?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's probably more about the season and the defensive effort. I think this is probably the best defensive team I've had here at Western, and really a lot of that was the experience. If you watch those guards, Addie, Allie, Kaylin, Madison Davis, they just know what each other's going to do and rotated so well and helped and recovered and played really hard and had really good motors. And so I think some of that translated tonight. Again, like they talked about, we turned them over 14 times. We only turned over 15 times. Those are some numbers that are neutral that you feel good about. But I think the reason we're here is because overall we are a pretty good defensive team. You look at our efficiency numbers, that shows we're defensive. And I think that's a good learning point for the younger players too, that it's, a lot more important than just being able to put the ball in the hole. Although offense is important, as you saw tonight.
Bob Sutton with the AP. How impressive is it that Mia was still able to kind of pretty much match your normal production tonight?
Yeah, that's the thing about, Mia, like I think you said, everything was hard for her tonight. They're showing her a lot of attention. She's playing against a, 6'5" player. And like Mia said, she's really probably more of a 3-4 type of player than a 5. So you put that height on her. It not only bothers her around the basket, it bothers her in the mid-range and even at the 3-point line. I thought she made some really good moves, especially early, and got some good shots that she missed, but she did a good job of kind of settling in, I thought, and like you said, she gets the free throw line really well. She's one of the best free throw shooters probably at her position in the nation, and so she still kind of did her thing, and I was proud of her for sticking with it and not getting frustrated.
Anything else for Coach?
Caden Strenz, Leatherneck Insider. JD, you've been with Western for the last 15 years. What are you going to remember the most out of this season? Was this one of your favorite, or was this your favorite season coaching at Western? But, what are the memories going to be for you?
Yeah, hopefully the 2017 group isn't listening when I say it was probably my favorite year. But, I think a part of that, and I think they would understand that, is this is the first year that my family and my kids were really a part of it. Marin was on the bench with us for almost every game as water girl. The kids were crying for hours when Reagan got hurt. Miller cries every game when we get down. But, like Addie said, our family is their family. And so I think that does kind of add to it being special. And then I think there was kind of a question in my mind, 4 or 5 years ago, could we ever get back to this level, right? Could I ever get to experience that again? And so I'm very thankful for this group that they were able to get us there, and I think continue to give us in Western Illinois kind of the taste of what it feels like to get there, and want to go back and do it again.
Any other questions for Coach? All right, Coach, thanks so much for the time, and congratulations on a great season.